So there's actually quite a bit of information out there right now and videos that are showing people ideas on how to make a generator shed. I'm just really seeing a really common occurrence though with the majority of them as to what they're using as far as turning a plastic suncast shed or storage container into a generator enclosure, which there's nothing wrong with that. That can work just fine. But in this video, we're going to talk more about a wood structured shed. So let's go ahead and get started with it now. What's up guys, Adam here with another video, and in today's video we're going to be continuing our series talking about generators. And we've been talking a lot about generators over the past month or so. We've made quite a few videos on how to hook up a generator to your house, how to power certain things in your house like your home air conditioning unit for instance. And this video is really going to be no different. We're going to really dive into detail on some ideas on how to build your own generator shed to protect your generator from the elements. But before I get into all of that, if you're new to the channel and you like how-tos and do-it-yourself type videos for around your house, then this might just be the channel for you. Consider hitting that red subscribe button down below. And if you find the information in this video be helpful to you and maybe it gives you some ideas that you hadn't thought of before, then let me know by leaving a comment down in the comment section and also giving the video a thumbs up. Now, there's quite a few different ways that you can go about building your own generator shed, and there's all kinds of different ideas out there. A lot of the ones I've been seeing lately involve using one of those plastic suncast sheds and then converting it into a generator enclosure, which there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people have had success with that. I just prefer that my structures be made more out of wood. They're going to be less flimsy, they're going to be more structurally sound, it'll be heavier, there's going to be more customization that can go into it, so it's really all going to come down to preference. So I'm going to get into all the details on how I built my generator shed, and after I get done going over all the details of the generator shed, then I'll take it outside where it's going to sit, and I'm going to hook it up and turn on the generator and close it all up, and we're going to take a decibel reading just to kind of see how much the generator shed can bring down the noise of that generator. So let's go ahead and take a look at it now. All right, so this is the front of the generator shed, obviously, and I've got a couple of different latches. I've got this one here that I'll have a lock on to keep it all locked up, and then up here is kind of like a bolt type latch just to keep the shed doors more sturdy. Then as we open it up, inside there's another one of these bolts that holds the door closed that I just need to undo, and then you can pull both of the doors open. So those of you that are subscribers to the channel, have seen quite a few of my videos, you know that I am a big proponent for making things as simple as possible but without sacrificing any quality. This shed is a 4x4x4, so it's 4 feet wide, 4 feet long, and 4 feet high. And the reason I did that is it was going to be plenty big for the original generator I was going to put in here. It was going to be one of the smaller ones. But obviously I've got my big one in here, but it still has plenty of room. But all of your wood, for the most part, your standard pieces of wood come in 8-foot long sections. And then your plywood comes in 4x8 sheets. So by doing that, it makes it super easy to make your cuts and figure the amount of materials that you're going to need. You'll see down at the bottom here, it almost looks like a pallet, and I did that on purpose. I've got 3 4x4s that are 4 foot long underneath of here, and this was going to allow for me to use a tractor to move this around wherever I need it to be. Now another thing about this shed is I made this roof, I put it on hinges so that it will fold up so that I'm able to get in there to move the generator around. And it also makes refueling it a lot easier. Now right now I'm just using pieces of wood to hold the roof up. I'll probably do something more permanent, but for right now that's just what I'm using. Alright, so getting in here closer, you can see the floor. I've got all the 2x4s spread apart from each other, and the idea is to allow as much air as possible into this building to keep it as cool as possible. So that's just another source for allowing this building to vent. And that was a huge focus of mine on this whole thing, is trying to get this thing to vent as much as possible. if you look over at the back there, you can see I've got, this is a 16 by 16 vent here. Over here, there's a 20 by 20 vent, and I've got a fan in it. That's another 16 by 16 vent. And then down at the bottom, it's hard to see, there's another 20 by 20 vent. And so I wanted to get as big of vents as possible to allow as much airflow as possible. So the one down at the bottom, the hope is that it's going to bring in a bunch of air. These are more so going to allow air to escape and maybe let some through on this one here. This one over here that I've got the fan in, this should be the warmest part of this building because the exhaust is back here. So the idea here was I built a shelf for this fan to sit in, and a lot of people use attic fans, which that's fine. Attic fans are made to go in hot attics and get the air out, so that would be what it would be used for, and it would work just fine. But my thought was get one of these fans that you'd put in your room. They push more air than most of the attic fans. The hole that it's going to be able to push through is going to be much bigger than any of your attic fans, that the vents, the flaps that open up. I haven't seen any that are nearly that big. So the idea is just getting as much air out as possible, and putting it up high like that is science that heat rises. So theoretically, most of your hot air is going to be up in this corner where the exhaust is and up high. So that fan should be pushing out a lot of the hot air, keeping this building a lot cooler. So, and then talking about the exhaust, if you can see down here, that exhaust pipe down there is attached to the generator, and then it's going to the outside of the building through that hole there. And I made a video on how to make a generator exhaust extension, and I'll post a link for that down in the description below, and might also put one where it will pop up in the top of the screen now. So if then we go to the outside here, you'll see where the exhaust is coming out, and I've got a piece of hardy board siding up on here, and the reason I did that is because hardy board is not flammable. So this hardy board will not start on fire, but if you were putting an exhaust tube like this through plastic, at the very least the plastic is going to completely melt, if not start on fire. And it would be the same thing for wood. Wood wouldn't melt, but you would probably have a very serious fire issue that could come from this exhaust pipe making contact with either plastic or wood. That pipe is going to get super hot, as generators, the way they try to stay cool is by pushing a lot of that hot air through the exhaust pipe. Back here on the back, we've got those two vents. You can see 20 by 20, that's the one with the fan in it, and this 16 by 16 over here. And then I've got 3 hinges for the roof to make this thing into a convertible. And so that should be plenty to be able to hold that up. Now that roof is pretty heavy. I mean, it's all solid wood with plywood on top. And it sits pretty flat. The roof does itself, which it doesn't have a whole lot of pitch to it. But I put a silicone coating on top which withstands ponding water. So I'm not too worried about that. It's not gonna cause me any issues as far as deteriorating the roof or anything like that. Then on the left side of the building here, I've got this box, which is just an exterior weatherproof box that would actually fit a couple of plugs in it. It's just an outlet box, but it's made to be outside, and I used a hole saw to cut the hole out big enough to fit my 50 amp generator cord through. So this is where the generator cord will come in, out through, and then hook up to the house. Alright, so now coming back to the inside, you may have seen this while we were looking at some of the other stuff in here. It is monitoring the heat, the humidity, all of that, and it's going to go to this device that then I can monitor all of the heat, humidity, what it's been at, the highest it's been, the lowest it's been. There's alarms on some of these that will let you know when something's reached too hot of a temperature. And to me, this is super important. This is something that you really, I feel like you should consider getting something like this. I've heard too many stories about people, their fans quit working and then it gets too hot in here, and then you've just got, it's a mess. You've got your generator outlets and all kinds of stuff on your generator is melting or just destroying the generator. So the investment is very little to protect what is actually a very expensive investment. So that's pretty much it for the features of the generator shed. So let's go ahead and take it outside and put it where it's going to go. Start up the generator and see how much quieter it is on a decibel app as opposed to when the doors are open. All right, so now we've got this about where I'm going to want it to be. I've got it this side over here. This is where the box is that allows the cable to come out from the generator, and then it would hook up to the house right there in that 50 amp power inlet box. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test the decibel rating of how loud it is with this completely open the way that it is right now. Let's go ahead and start the generator up. The cord you're seeing is the cord that goes to the fan. So we'll go ahead and start this up and see how loud it is on the app. So we're about 20 feet away, and the current decibel reading is averaging 82 with a max of 87, which I know you can't really see the phone very well, so I'll have the decibel readings up on the screen. So average of 80, max of 89, 81, 89. All right, so now let's go close it up and see how much quieter it gets. All right, so now that's all closed up, we're getting about 70 decibels. So that's a pretty big drop, and I can notice a huge difference in how much quieter it is. All right, guys, so there's a bunch of ideas on how you can make your own generator shed. I'm super pleased with the way that this turned out. All of the vents were working exactly the way that they were supposed to, letting that air in, and then also on the other side letting it out up above. And that fan was really pumping the hot air out. So that's exactly what we wanted it to do. The exhaust extension worked great. It was getting all the exhaust fumes out. And we did the decibel test to see how much quieter it could get by closing everything up. And we saw some really great results there as well. So it really quieted everything down. So overall, super happy with it. I just really, really want to stress again, when you're making your generator shed and you're making your plans, just really always have on the top of your mind how you're going to vent that shed, how you're going to get the cooler air in and get that hot air out, because that's ultimately what's going to make this thing a success or a failure. If it gets too hot in there, there's all kinds of things that could happen, and they're all bad. So just make sure that when you're planning out your shed, make sure you're getting plenty of ventilation in that thing. And I'm not so sure, even though I'm happy with the way that this turned out, I'm not so sure I won't add another vent just for safety precautions, because the last thing you want is for it to get way too hot in there and the thing goes up in flames and there goes your generator. And if it's too close to your house, well, that could be a big problem too. So I just say all of that to just really pay attention to it and think about that, because it is important. So I hope that you found this video to be helpful and informative. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section down below. And if you have any ideas on how you'd like to make a generator shed that maybe I didn't cover in this video, I'd love to hear about those as well. If you found the video to be helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like how-tos and do-it-yourself type videos like this one, please consider subscribing to the channel. I've got a new video coming out every single week, And I've got quite a few generator related videos if that's what you're into that I've already done that you can go check out now. So consider subscribing to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next video.